I just finished playing Baldur's Gate 1. This was probably my 10th or so attempt to play the game since 2005, when I had just finished Knights of the Old Republic, and had my first real need to seek out a game studio's work. I didn't know anything about making games then. Arguably, I don't now either. But the way the story carried me through encounter after encounter, dragging me from lowly ship soldier to Jedi Knight, was incredible to me. At this point in time, I'd only seen 2 Star Wars movies, episodes 1 and 2. So Knights of the Old Republic was a story double whammy. Not only was it good, it showed me that that universe was ripe for storytelling. I knew even at 10 years old that whoever made that game had to have made other great games. And there was no way for me to not know who made it, because their name flashed on screen every time I booted the thing up. BioWare.
Watch your broken dreams dancing out of the beams of a neon.
In the pre-Mass Effect days, there weren't a ton of options. And since this was before digital distribution was common, it was even harder to find more games with that name on them and know what to do with them. Jade Empire eluded me, but I did hear about the Dungeons & Dragons games BioWare had made. A 3D one, and 2 that went together and were supposed to be incredible. Baldur's Gate. I got a hold of a copy and installed it. I hated it. The core rules of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons are not exactly friendly to the wandering mind.
THAC0 means to hit armor class 0. It is what you need to roll to hit an opponent with an armor class of 0, which is actually really good, because 10 is default.
Every edition of D&D has made it less about the math and strict adherence to a rule set, so it gets better each time. But when Baldur's Gate ruled around, AD&D was still the modern rule set. Frustratingly, there is no real explanation of how to play D&D that accompanies Baldur's Gate. It sort of assumes a baseline knowledge of tabletop role-playing. I was 10 and lived in the woods, so surprisingly, I did not have this knowledge. And where KOTOR represented its take on dice rolling fun times in such a way that it was always operating invisibly underneath the action, Baldur's Gate did no such thing.
I'm afraid we need to use math.
Baldur's Gate is a game built for tacticians. The design is such that you approach encounters in steps, pausing and strategizing as you go. Your party of up to 6 characters each have their own abilities, weaponry, advantages, and disadvantages. You must control them all, truly, to survive through much of the game. I am not a tactician. I was destroyed by wolves in the game's first real area. Multiple times. This was not KOTOR. Over the subsequent 17 years, I have tried again and again to give Baldur's Gate the attention it deserves. Attention that the larger gaming community has forced me to acknowledge at gunpoint through endless tirades of how great the series is, how it defines what role-playing games can be, and so on and so forth. I like RPGs, but for me, KOTOR was the beginning of Western ones. The many years worth of what had come before meant nothing to me. I can't even imagine what I would have done if you put me in front of wizardry.
Confess quickly. If you hold out too long, you could jeopardize your credit rating.
So, what's the issue? I know for a fact that there are plenty of people who completed Baldur's Gate at my age, or even younger. That it was a beacon of a game in a lot of people's lives. And that kids older than me had had to deal with way more obtuse games in the time before. In the Dark Ages, they even had to draw maps on paper. To tell you the truth, I'm not sure what that problem was. It may be the reason that I later found made actual Dungeons & Dragons an unpleasant experience. All the waiting.
The pungent stench of mildew emanates from the wet dungeon walls.
Where are the Cheetos?
They're right next to you.
I cast a spell. Where's the Mountain Dew?
In the fridge, duh!
Being a young adult in the 21st century, I've played my fair share of D&D. And every campaign I've ever taken part in has had so much tremendous downtime. Maybe I've never been in the right group and gelled in the way you're supposed to get the most out of the experience. I don't know, and it doesn't really matter. What does matter is that Dungeons & Dragons, especially in the time of Baldur's Gate, was arcane and frustrating. Arcane and frustrating video games are popular, but they've never clicked with me. Dark Souls and the entire genre it spawned are critically and commercially lauded, but I absolutely hate them. Oh, Jesus Christ! Okay, what did we learn? Ballistas, they fire in an arc and explode. To me, trial and error is not fun. Banging my head against a wall until I finally get the solution is not fun. I appreciate a challenge, but I like to think that the playing field is even, at least most of the time. For most of my life, I balked at the idea of playing games on easy. What's the point? I would ask as I laughed at another Kotaku writer's publicly aired grievances with this or that game. I wasn't exactly a get-good guy, but I did see some merit in that. If a game pushed you far enough, then you'd eventually have to overcome the challenge or give up. Games like Dark Souls, like a Cuphead, like Baldur's Gate. Those games made me give up. And each time I did, I missed out on something. When I quit playing Cuphead, I didn't get to see all the gorgeous art and animation that makes that game what it is. When I quit playing Dark Souls, I didn't see whatever hypnotism happens midway through that game that makes you people like it so much.
Just a nice, warm, happy time. Happy, happy, happy. Ha 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 ha.
And when I quit playing Baldur's Gate, I didn't experience one of those core stories you're kinda supposed to if you take video games seriously. So what? C'est la vie. The story, the meat of the experience, is a reward for learning and besting the game's actual mechanics. I've been told this, and for a long time, I believed it. But you know what? I grew up a little. In my current job, I've been exposed to a lot of thinking about accessibility. We have to consider how people with different advantages and disadvantages approach their education, a core part of their life that helps them develop into the people they need or want to be. Not everybody comes at things on that even playing field I had imagined. Sometimes the game carries more weight. Sometimes the player does. Whatever the case, there will be those who are unable to approach games in the way we think they should. And the truth is, whatever reason they have for that is perfectly valid. Now, as an aside, I'm an incredibly fortunate guy. I love games and have been able to physically play them for my entire life. I've been able to run and jump, and I even played basketball for a decent period of time, though you wouldn't know it to look at me. To the outside world, I have no visible impairment and have never had to face the stares or judgment of others because of what I do have. Not everybody is in that situation, and by no means do I believe that some of the frustrations in life that are caused by my brain are anything like those of people who have to manage with far greater challenges. All I want to say is that our collective idea of playing video games in a right way is outdated. Not because it hurts the average Polygon writer's feelings, but because games are for everyone. And there shouldn't be a barrier to entry. I understand the difficulty in including easy options from a development standpoint. It's certainly harder in a first-person shooter than it is a computer role-playing game. But it isn't impossible. Baldur's Gate is an easy one to change up because it all operates on dice rolls and the resulting math. Fudge that math in the player's favor more and more, and suddenly the game is a lot more accessible. The Enhanced Edition re-release of the game features extensive difficulty tweaks and an added story mode that makes death in combat a non-issue. It makes that part of the game a breeze to play. And that's what I did. And you know what? I loved Baldur's Gate. Complete 180 on my opinion. Remove combat from the equation, or turn that part of the game into baby's first Diablo, and I get to spend the majority of my time engaging with the stuff I do like. Quests, characters, content. Am I wrong for enjoying these parts of the game more at the expense of the combat? There exist people who would say so. Those people, however, may not realize that they are trying to tell others how to have fun.
Please sit down and have fun. Just sit down and have fun, damn it.
Games are a thing we play. Call me a Dutch cultural theorist, because I'm about to go Johan Huizinga on you. We are the people, the cultural continuation, that enjoy play. Homo ludens. We have more opportunity for leisure in our lives than at any other point in human history, and the fact that there are 1,700 streaming services attests to there being more possible things to consume while at play than you can individually conceive. Why then concern ourselves with the perception that there is a right or wrong way to go about that consumption? If the end result is personal pleasure, then who am I to say another person has come to feel that inappropriately? Within the confines of the video game playing world, what is right and what is wrong? If wrong comes at the exclusion of those who have difficulty playing games, then I don't want to be right. Let me ask this. Does someone who cannot process the combat in Baldur's Gate, or doesn't want to even, not deserve to experience the story at its heart? Do they not have the same reasons to appreciate the fantasy adventure that you or I do? And what about you? Do you not deserve the pleasure that comes from another game because you don't measure up to its expectations or those of the community surrounding it? Are you not allowed to enjoy some Dance Dance Revolution because you're clumsy? Can you not get something out of Guitar Hero with a 10 ear? I say you can. And you should. It all comes down to options. As an industry, games need to get better at letting people play how they want or need to. And as players, we need to be better than shaming those who do. If you truly care that somebody could play the classics like Baldur's Gate on extreme easy mode, let me ask you, why? Why do you care? I'm not being facetious. I want you to legitimately ask yourself why you give a shit. Look inward and find an answer to that, because, buddy, there are way more concerns that deserve your attention. I encourage you to think about a game you want to like. Maybe you've played it before. Maybe you haven't. Try it, and try it on an easier difficulty than you think you should. Bump that baby all the way down. Turn on aim assist and feel like a SEAL Team sniper. Make your enemies dumber through the power of the options menu. See how you feel about it then. Because here's the crazy thing, my guy. Baldur's Gate is fun with every advantage given to the player. And maybe, just maybe, that means a good game is good, no matter how you play it. Hey, thanks for watching this. You're gonna see some stuff pop up on the screen. There's also a couple of relevant links in the video description that you might want to check out. I'm starting a Patreon, because why not? Everybody's doing it. I'm cool, I'm hip. If we gather some support there, then I can make more of these more regularly, which I think would be great.